So far in this section, we've learned exactly how economists are going to be model human behavior and human choices by utility maximization. So we have some type of budget constraint, and we know what consumers are trying to maximize, which is their utility. However, like most economic models, there are going to be a lot of limitations that we have left out. And if we want to make a little bit more of a realistic model, these are things that we should be considering. First of all, can consumers really measure the utility they receive from various goods? So we learned that utility was just an arbitrary measure. But in real life, do you ever go out and say, hey, this gives me X amount of utility? Do you go out with a group of friends to dinner and say, this plate of food is going to give me exactly 250 units of utility or satisfaction? And the answer is no, because if we probably did, we probably wouldn't have any friends at all. So when we do an action or buy a certain good or service, we really don't think about the utility that's accruing to us right then and there. Utility is really just that. It's just an arbitrary measure. And in order for us to make this a little bit of a better model, that's where the mathematics come into play. We have something known as a utility function, and with this utility function, we add in all the sort of other variables that we believe is going to sort of accrue to us or sort of affect us when we buy or consume this particular good. And just by having some type of mathematics and having a concrete sort of idea of what should be included within this utility function, we know exactly how much utility or satisfaction we would be getting. And that's something that you should be looking forward to in your intermediate classes, especially in economics. The second sort of issue that we sort of come across is, do consumers calculate the marginal utility associated with each activity? Remember, we only focused in on two goods, and we had to have the marginal utility per dollar for each of these goods equalized. However, in the real world, how many goods and services are we dealing with? We're dealing with hundreds, thousands, and even an infinite amount of goods and services. So when we buy or compare goods, we don't have to compare just against two of them. We have to compare against every other single good and service. And application, it's going to be a very, very difficult task for us to go ahead and do that. So once again, with all of these economic models, we are working with a lot of simplifying assumptions, and in order to make just some type of workable predictions, we need to have these assumptions in place. Might not be indicative of reality, but once again, we want to go ahead and add more and more complexity to the models in order for us to get a little bit closer to reality, and that's going to be the work of the higher level classes that you're going to go ahead and take as you progress your academic career. But we can go ahead and take a closer look at how we can add a little bit more complexity and add a little bit more realism within this particular model by taking a look at a branch of economics that deals exactly with human behavior, and that's going to be called behavioral economics. So behavioral economics is going to be the more sociological or psychological side of economics, and it deals exactly with how humans are going to react and behave, essentially what we built up so far within this chapter. So we'll go ahead and take a closer look at that and a few of the sort of factors within behavioral economics, things that you can see in your own everyday life as well as we progress to the next section.